Now we're going to do our toe dip segment where we briefly discuss something we watched. We're discussing My Oxford Year, the new Netflix movie starring
Mhm.
Sophia Carson. What are your thoughts on My Oxford Year?
It's a terrible movie. I knew it was going to be a terrible movie. It still managed to be worse than I expected.
It was worse than I expected too. I just found it very unserious. You and I both went to Oxford University. I had a negative experience watching this movie as a person who knows the Oxbridge experience well and as a general viewer, as a person who is open to good romance movies and escapist movies. But it didn't tick any of the boxes for me.
Yeah, so once again, just like Materialist, I think this movie has been cast as a rom com movie erroneously. I do not think it was a rom com movie. There was a fake romance in it, but definitely wasn't funny. So maybe let's go with a romance drama in this case. As someone who is a person of color, working class person who went to Oxford, this movie managed to offend me on every single one of those levels. One thing I will say to be positive, though, again, try to be positive, is it did get certain elements right that other movies based in Oxford don't tend to get right. So, for example, they picked the right. Uh,
And it got many wrong.
of course it did, but I said I'm trying to be positive. I'm gonna get into the wrong things. It got the sub first uniform correct. It also got the language right. So at Oxford, DPhils or PhDs are referred to as DPhils. They got that right. There was also some of the Latin, I think, during the matriculation.
No, there
Is it
was
wrong?
no Latin during the
I swear there was
matriculation.
Latin.
Zero Latin during the
Serious.
matriculation, which was one big red flag for me for how
Ah,
little research there. There was no Latin during the matriculation.
I
It
thought
was
there was.
no, the chancellor was speaking in extremely informal English throughout. So that's
Oh
how I knew that
dear.
these people were not serious. No Latin at
Oh,
all. And not only is there no Latin, you're praising them for their correct use of subfos.
yeah.
After her matriculation, wearing her subfos, she goes to her first class, her first tutorial or lesson.
Yeah, but
Who has classes on their matriculation day?
no, but let's be honest. Hold on a minute. Remember that Oxford had a vote to get rid of Subfusk, and what did those clowns do? They decided to keep it because some of them they feel like that's the prestige of it. So she felt gassed because she was at Oxford, and she decides to go around wearing it.
D, how can you have a tutorial on the day you matriculate?
But isn't it different for master students though? Or
No!
is it not?
Matriculation day is a day. Like it's you matriculate as a college, first of all, which is another thing
Yeah.
that they didn't get right because she was just
Yeah,
walking
that's true.
around by
Actually, yeah,
herself.
yeah.
You matriculate as a college, and the day that your college knows the people in your course in that college and matriculating, that day is blocked out for you guys. Your course hasn't
I don't
started on
remember
the day
that.
you
I don't remember
matriculate.
that. I feel like I was busy
No,
on matriculation day, but it
maybe
was a
you were
long time
busy.
ago.
Maybe you were busy like preparing yourself for your new academic year or whatever, but
Mm.
you they wouldn't schedule lectures and classes on the same day you
No,
matriculate.
the,
And even
yeah.
if they somehow did, they certainly wouldn't be expecting you that as you're running out of the place where you just matriculated and you just listened to 2 hours of Latin, that you're walking directly into some college to go and have a tutorial. No.
Yeah, actually, I think tutorials are stretch, but I do remember having college events. But yeah, to be honest,
Yes,
that's
you
a minor
do.
thing. Yeah, yeah.
No, it's not
I think
minor.
I think it's
No.
minor
No, no, no,
compared to
no.
the way how other movies handle Oxford.
It's true. I've seen a lot of nonsense.
Right? They'll have people walking around in graduation gear on matriculation day, like,
One thing I would say that was accurate was just the terrible dancing in the clubs of Oxford.
oh, that actually
The,
triggered me.
the Halloween in the dinky ass club with all the freshers and the students doing struggle, awkward, off key dancing. I had so many negative memories. The amount of awful dancing I saw in that university was really something.
The small talk at the pub,
Oh, God.
the quote unquote racial encounter at the pub. I was happy to see the kebab trucks though. I do have many fond memories of being with friends at the kebab trucks actually and eating all the trash food.
I love it for you that you have fun memories. I have only negative memories. I hated the food, and I remember various people from my college throwing up around me from that
Ew, it's
kebab
true,
food.
yeah. People would always throw up there. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that McDonald's.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that the Oxford Cambridge boat race, it was giving sponsored marketing content. So many parts of the
Yeah.
movie was giving sponsored by Oxford University, to be honest.
Yeah.
And the boat race, I've been to it before, and I remember I went there and I was like, I don't need to repeat this again.
Another thing that really irritated me is this movie, and in general, a lot of American movies that focus on American graduate experiences in the
I know what
UK
you're about to say.
are very weirdly obsessed with this idea of Americans being unique in them.
Foreign.
Like, it's absolutely not the case, especially not at Oxford.
My first note about this movie literally says, "Why is everybody acting like they've never seen an American before?"
Like,
That was the first note I had.
yeah,
I said, in any big UK city, an American is not that much of a big deal. In Oxford, in particular,
exactly.
or any kind of like prestige university, we have loads and loads and loads and loads of foreign exchange students and master students and an industry student. It is as common to hear an American accent floating around in Oxford
Exactly.
as any other accent that's not British. So
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, why is everybody acting so starstruck and confused and teasing as if the concept of an American is so unique? I was like, what?
Like, they're a
Huh?
dime a dozen.
It's so normal. You even have professors that are American. I was just like, what are they talking about? The gay character in this movie, I am not a gay man, but I was like,
Gay best
this
friend
is
trope.
this is some very Y2K ass writing, derogatory. Like this is
Yeah.
some very. There's some point where he literally said, "Oh, she's left before they've even shown the penises,"
Yeah.
and I'm like, "Oh, are we still
Yeah.
writing gay men like that in 2025?"
Right? One of the things I hated the most about this movie is the fact that it goes out of the way to tell us that Sophia Carson's character is somebody who is a Latina and she comes from at least not a wealthy background. I don't know if I would describe her as poor or working class, but she has monetary issues. She mentions it explicitly at times. Yet when she gets to Oxford, somehow they suddenly forget she's Latina. After that pub scene, it suddenly forgets that she's Latina. Bear in mind, this is a woman who's interacting with very upper class British English people. And you want me to believe her race didn't come out? Now, of course, Latinos can be various different races. I would say, I don't know how Sophia Carson identifies, but I just found the way how the movie fails to address that very unrealistic. And then on the second point, regarding the money, this woman gets so wrapped up in this romance, is interacting with British upper class, is somehow able to quit her Goldman Sachs job, which I'm sure would have completely changed the trajectory of her life. And the movie at no time discusses how the money is working with any of this.
She's going to have her man's money. Who will his money to her? He's rich.
Do you know how upper class British people are when it comes to money? Much less to a foreign Latina woman.
That's now American.
That's an American. Very unrealistic. Again, it's giving a fantasy written by an American woman. Well, it is actually.
That is what this is.
Yeah, it is.
This woman went to Oxford for a year program, and like certain kinds of other American students, she was so caught up in the fantasy of it that she wrote this whole tale about it.
Mm-hmm.
So that is what this is. There are many points in this I was like, oh, this feels like fan fiction because it
fantasy,
is.
Yeah. I think the reason why I was so shocked is because I know that Sophia Carson's family was involved in the production of this. So she comes from a very wealthy Colombian family. Her family is very famous in Colombia and on the Caribbean coast. I found it weird to have such a well-known Colombian family and there was nothing Latin about this at all. It was very weird.
But I think the book is based on the character is just a straightforward white woman.
Okay, so then why cast a Latina woman, and then also why write it into the script that she's a Latina? You could have just had her be a white woman then.
Everything this movie tried to do, The Fault in Our Stars has already done. And in fact, Bridgerton, Queen Charlotte has also already done, starring the same actor. So any attempts to make me care about the emotions or the story of these characters, it wasn't working. Mm-hmm. The acting, once again, wouldn't. A very severe lack of chemistry between everybody involved. Mm-hmm. No sparks, no compelling dialogue. My friend that I watched this movie with, during one of those scenes where he's having the cringy karaoke and when they have their big rain kiss, she was like, I feel absolutely nothing, zero endearment, because I don't care about any of these characters. And I was like, same. Mm-hmm. The only person that I somewhat almost got engaged by their emotional journey in this film, and I think that's because I was the only actual actor in this film, was Corey's character's dad, who is struggling with the idea of accepting his son's choice to essentially let nature take its course with his illness. Mm-hmm. And this is really me pulling at straws here. There wasn't much to say that was good about any of this.
And bear in mind, the son was showing absolutely no signs of illness whatsoever.
I was like, sorry. It took me a while to understand what disease they were saying this man was fighting with. Because I couldn't believe they were trying to tell us he was in late stage cancer. Even when we got to the point that pneumonia was taking over his body and it was expected he will pass away very soon, I was like, why are they behaving like we don't know what it looks like when people with very vulnerable immune systems are battling serious pneumonia? They
Yeah.
don't look like this. Like,
Yeah.
I get it, you want to have your heart throb so you can have him on all the Netflix posters. But what that means is this just doesn't visually make any sense.
They wanted their famous Bridgerton moment where he screams "Get out!" But if you're fighting pneumonia to that degree, you're probably not going to have the energy to shout to that level.
It just wasn't adding up. It was
Also,
not a good film.
no, it wasn't. And I'm sorry to say, I'm a massive Nile Rodgers fan. I'm a massive Chic fan. There was one part of this movie I just have to drag it for a second. They have a British actor sing Chic's "Everybody Dance" song. Yeah. So if you have a British accent, you will say dance, right? Whereas Americans say dance. Why did they make the singer say in a British accent? There was something about it that just completely irked me when I heard it, and I just completely was done with the movie. It was just so jarring and unnecessary.
Jarring and unnecessary is a good note to summarize our thoughts on this one.